first item is a consent item, which is reviewing the Planning Commission meeting minutes from August 25th.
Okay. So, having already reviewed the minutes,
Motion to approve the minutes.
let's turn ours back on one by one and just see.
Okay, I'm on.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 2 is consideration of an 8-lot subdivision located at approximately 1370 West, 800 North in the RA2 zone. The applicant is Richard Hjorth. Brian.
Yep.
Brian.
So, it's a little background on this. It's 2 separate parcels. They're both owned by the applicant. They're about 4.3 acres. Plans are an 8-lot subdivision, lots ranging in size from see those in the plans. On through general plan zoning meets the general plan for future zoning. It's at medium density residential. Again, they're both zoned RA2, so they would meet that designation there. The Mapleton City Code 1704.05B is the review standards. We've gone through and they meet those. Those are in your packets as well if you wanted to go through those. And then with the transportation 1712.20 encourages roads to be stubbed to provide future access, and you'll see in the plans that they do this as well. This is the subject properties. You can't really, I guess you can on the TV. There are 2 separate parcels there with the existing one on that bottom, our right hand side, the bottom right there, with the existing home. That's the current zoning, the RA2. 14,500 square foot is the minimum with a 100-foot frontage requirement. That's the proposed plan that we have so far. You can see the 8 lots of road stuff going east and west there. They meet the zoning requirements as far as lot size and frontage. And our recommendation is to recommend approval of the preliminary plat to the City Council with the condition that the applicant address any outstanding DRC comments prior to the plat recording. And those are, again, in your packet there too. So that's all we have. I believe the applicant's here if we have questions for them, but that's all we have on that one.
Can you go back to the aerial with the current zoning?
Yep.
So with those roads going east to west, is the intention that that's going to hook up into 1140 West, or what's the transportation plan with that one?
On that one. So to the west, it most likely would just be cul-de-sac because there's existing homes there.
Okay.
To the east, there's the ability for it to extend and then connect probably to 1200 North at some point in the future.
Okay, but that's just dependent on the adjacent properties. Okay. So we just dead end it for now until those other properties get developed. Yeah. No TDRs, right? Okay. Yeah. I don't have any questions.
Any other questions? No? Is this a public hearing? Okay. Richard, do you want to say anything? Do you have any other information that we need to hear?
Well, we're still working on our list of to-do things
Mm-hmm.
with the land and stuff, but it's been a real nice hayfield for a long time.
Yep.
My son wants to build a house, so we're getting it subdivided.
So it's
Good.
his fault, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we'll blame him. That's a good trade-off.
It's gonna be perfect, so.
Okay, great.
I haven't seen any money on the hay for a long
Thank you. Well, thank you. Will that being the case, I will entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll motion to approve the rezone as it's currently written. Oh, this isn't a rezone, this is a plat. Oh, that's right, okay. So yeah, I recommend approval of the preliminary plat to city council with the condition that the applicant address any outstanding DRC comments prior to plat recording.
We have a second, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
I think that's it for tonight.
We got one more.
Oh, okay. Sorry I was late, guys. It's really bad.
This is where the real fun starts.
That's right.
I thought everyone was here for the cul-de-sac.
You're not here for the cul-de-sac standards?
Okay, item number 3, consideration of an amendment to Mapleton City Code, section 1712-050G regarding cul-de-sac standards.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. So the city allows cul-de-sacs under certain circumstances. The code generally discourages them, except for in instances where there's not a need for connectivity or there's development on the other properties, kind of like the one we were just looking at to the west. The code also indicates that we have a maximum length of 500 feet. Occasionally, we get requests for cul-de-sacs to be longer than that, and in some instances, there's been situations where the city's approved longer than 500-foot cul-de-sacs in the past. So as this issue comes up from time to time, we started discussing it as a staff, and as we've researched, Ryan went and looked at cities throughout the state, and what's clear is that there is no clear standard. They're all over the map. What all of them, or the ones that have some basis for the distance requirement, typically ties it to fire protection. So we had a meeting with our fire chief and the county fire marshal to get their view on it. And their position was they don't care about the length. They just want to make sure that there's enough width for vehicles to get up and down and that there's an adequate turnaround. And so since most of these were based off of some fire basis, and our fire department has indicated that a length requirement is not necessary, we're proposing eliminating the maximum length. It's somewhat arbitrary. When people ask us about it, especially if fire is saying that it's not an issue for them, then it's hard for us to come up with a justification for why it's there. That's really what we're looking at tonight. There are some things that will limit cul-de-sac, or have the potential to limit cul-de-sac length still, and that's first of all water. The longer you have a water line that's a dead-end line, the less pressure you get, and there's other water quality issues. So what will happen is an applicant will submit an application, we'll have our consultants included in the water model, and if there is an issue because of length, they'll either have to shorten it or do other things to address those water quality issues. So that'll kind of regulate itself. And then also you can't have more than 30 lots on a dead-end road, so that could have some factors saying that, hey, we're not going to get someone come in and propose a 3-mile cul-de-sac, right? Because it's just not feasible with that many lots. So that's what the ordinance is for your review. One of the interesting things is we did find some evidence that the reasons these distance requirements came about is back in the old days when there was only a fire hydrant along the street and not in the cul-de-sac, the length was based on how long of a hose the fire department had. So in some communities it was 500, some was 600. There's various reasons, but now we require fire hydrant spaced no matter if it's in a cul-de-sac or not, so that issue is no longer in play. So that's kind of the background. We do, these aren't a little bit hard to see, but just some examples in town that are longer than 500 feet. The one on the left is Vineyard, the Vineyard subdivision off 400 North, if you drive down that. This is Hillcrest. This is off 2000 South, kind of down by Ira Allen. This is in Twin Hollow. There's a long cul-de-sac that goes up on top of a little bluff there. So we already have examples of these, and again, as long as fire is comfortable with the width and the turnaround, then we'll kind of let the other factors dictate the design.
And is the 500-foot measurement from the corner to the back of the cul-de-sac? Is that what we're measuring with that 500 feet?
It's the center of the radius in the cul-de-sac to the end of to the intersecting street.
Oh, to the intersect. Okay. Yeah, that does seem like a weird arbitrary item.
Yeah, and again, we're not wanting to make cul-de-sacs more prominent.
Yeah,
It's just removing a condition that's
yeah.
maybe somewhat arbitrary.
Okay.
This is a public hearing item, though, so if you've got any.
Okay. So, seeing that it is a public hearing, we'll open public hearing for any comment. Nothing? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing.
Shocking.
Yeah.
What are, any discussion on this?
I just have one question, Sean, relating to the training we got last year, Spanish Fork with connectivity.
Yeah.
They brought up that cul-de-sacs actually are really detrimental to the connectivity of the city.
Right.
And one of the things they mentioned to mitigate that was to try and make breezeways through the, walking breezeways through the cul-de-sacs that can connect you to other areas. Is that something that we should consider if, or can we add some provisions in there that would allow for there to be some connectivity?
We
through
do. We
sidewalk?
added that a couple of years ago, I think, that says that if there's a existing development adjacent to it, that you could create some pedestrian connectivity, that yes, we can require a sidewalk connection between, at the end of the cul-de-sac, connecting to other streets.
It seemed to me on really long cul-de-sacs, that would be even more appropriate to try and push for that. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it kind of depends on what's around it. Like if you look originally, this development's it's hard to see on the street, but Hillcrest, dead ends, and then 1600 South is just a lot further. That one is one that would have made sense to have some pedestrian connectivity. This example, this is clear up on top of a hill where you wouldn't have a steep sidewalk going off. But yes, that's the analysis we can do is what's around it. Would there be some benefit of having that pedestrian connectivity, particularly on longer cul-de-sacs? Yeah, absolutely.
A good example of something like that in our city is on 1200 North and 1000 East, where 1000 East goes south and then turns and dead ends. There's a trail that goes and connects to the rest of the, and it's well used. People use it all the time.
Yeah.
So,
that was my only question. Otherwise, I think it's great.
yeah, I think that's good. So,
I'll recommend it for approval for the city council.
That'd be the motion.
we have a second, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's it. Thanks, Rich, for
Riveting.
Let me hold on one second.